Alright, what's up guys? Today we're going to do a little bit of returning to roots. So if you guys don't know, my Halo 5 channel initially kind of popped off with skill jump videos, and I just got a comment on one of my older ones kind of pointing out that like, this jump's you're not doing this the best way, you should be doing it like this, and why is it taking you so long to hit it? And he had a great point. Those are so outdated, and you know, I want kind of to make an updated version now that my movement has developed along with my other skills for the past 6 years. So I'm going to take you guys through the HCS maps, because that's what I mainly play, and show you guys some of my favorite advanced skill jumps, and also teach you guys how to do it. So let's get into it. So there are a ton of different jumps on every map, and some of them are pretty self-explanatory or easy or not that advanced. So I'm not going to cover those. I'm just going to cover some of my favorite advanced jumps. They're not necessarily going to be all of them, but I'm going to teach you guys how to do them at the same time. First things first, in order to do a lot of these jumps, you're going to need to know how to spring jump. So there are two ways to spring jump. There's one that's cheating, and then there's one that's a real way. But basically, if you guys don't know what a spring jump is, I'm going to cover it quick. There are plenty of videos on it if you want to get more into detail. But essentially, you're going to release crouch and jump on the same frame. I didn't get it there. There it is. So that's a spring jump. I'm really not very good at it when I go for it like this, but if I'm like trying to go to a jump that requires a spring jump, see, I'm much better at it. And there's actually one of my first jumps that I really like. The other way to do the spring jump is to jump and hold crouch, and then you don't let go of jump or crouch, and you pull up your scoreboard, and then when you let go of your scoreboard, you'll get a spring jump. It's 100% consistent, and it's really lame. So, you know, some people don't do it. You know, I try to do it the real way. But yeah, so I did it a little too early there. But yeah, you can clamber onto this sign if you spring jump onto it. This is what it would look like if you use the scoreboard method. So you can do that. Not only is this a really cool jump and an actually really useful one, it's one of my favorites in the game. So you can actually jump onto this little bit ledge here, and then you can spring jump up to top mid. You can clamber onto that awning there if you do it right, but you do have to slide jump into here, or you can just crouch jump. Then you force yourself out, and then you just spring jump up, and then you can get up to top mid. That one's pretty darn difficult because you have multiple inputs. You have to jump into it, and then you have to step out and release your spring jump at the right time so you don't hit your head on this. And you can jump into it if you time it right like that, or you can just go for a slide into it, which I like to do because it makes it just pretty simple. So I'll show you guys a few more times if you want to see it again. There's that. And then, so you have to like step out, and then you like spring immediately. Okay, I figured this one out like a week ago, which is crazy. You can still find new things on this game. It's really probably only good for 2v2 and if you spawn on the blue side. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this one's pretty difficult. But you're gonna spawn, and then if you run down quickly, jump on this awning, drop down, thrust, slide, stabilize, you can clamber up to top mid and get over shield. Now, the reason I only recommend this for 2s is because if you were playing 4v4, somebody's likely going to push driveway off the start, and they'll just shoot you and you'll lose your stabilize, and then you're probably going to die. In 2v2, more likely you'll see one player push up here to try to push over shield, and the other player will push your LR. And if you notice, they won't have an angle on you because of this pillar, so you can get there super, super fast. But again, it is very, very difficult to pull off. And before I move on from Plaza, I'm going to show you guys these couple jumps. These aren't so advanced, but they're super, super useful. So one, a lot of people don't know this, you can just thrust slide and clamber up to the awning here. That's just a really quick way to top mid from the weak side at open field. You can also jump onto this fan and jump back clamber onto the awning, and that's just a great way to get up to top mid. There's one more option if you want. You can jump onto here. Make sure you walk towards the edge of this, and then you can jump crouch onto that and get up to top mid. Coliseum has a couple of really nerdy spots, but I wouldn't really say that it has a bunch of super advanced jumps. So I'll show you guys those real quick, and we'll get on to another map. So first off, you can actually clamber up on this wall here if you just jump here. And I just kind of always aim for like this corner, and then I just jump and clamber it. And the key is afterwards, after you get your clamber, just don't move your left stick, and then you'll have no problems. But if you do try to walk, you know, just try to walk back onto the map. But that's kind of a good spot. People in the red base won't see it. It's kind of hard to get into though. Okay, so there's a very similar spot on the blue side. You can see it right here. This one's a lot more well known, but as you can see, there's also a kill barrier. But you can actually peek out in the blue flag, and then you can jump out and stabilize and shoot in the cave. You know, if you're playing capture the flag and attacking either of these bases, those are pretty good spots to try to get into if you can, just to get the drop on somebody. I mean, they're not really high damage areas, but if you want to get, you know, a quick one on somebody, it's a good place to do it. I don't really see many people doing this, but you can actually just spring jump up to these wings here and just get out of bottom mid, you know, if you need to use that option. You can also spring, well, I gotta get up there, but you can spring jump off here and get up onto the top of these pillars, which is a good way to, you know, get up here pretty quick. You know, a lot of times if you're pushing up the trench, you know, your only option is to clamber up here, but, you know, you can switch it up, spring jump up here, and then you have a different way to attack the elbow. So that's, you know, pretty solid. If you're super speedy, a great way to get across the map in the right situation. If you need to and like capture the flag or something, you can jump thrust slide off this and stabilize onto their bridge. So that's pretty quick. Obviously, if you get shot in any part of that movement, then it's not going to work. So, you know, again, in the right situation, it can be useful. You actually have a little nerd spot here, only on the red side. You can just jump and crouch right onto it. It's very simple. You know, maybe you can catch somebody off guard here in the maze, and then you can jump out to get a different angle to challenge rockets. There's a nerdy spot here in the cave. You can jump here and crouch behind these little rocks. A lot of people will never look here, and you can just catch people off guard, but, you know, it's not a quick spot to get into, so it's kind of tough. There's an invisible clamber to catch people off guard if you want. You can jump into these mushrooms, and you jump out and just start clambering. And if you get the rhythm right, you can, like, repeat clamber. Frosty does it. He's filthy, though, so, you know. There are plenty of other super nerdy spots, but I'm just trying to cover the ones that I find practical. You can get a clamber off of here, which is a super great way to challenge at rockets. You can't really stand up there. Sometimes you can get your feet to stick, I don't know. But you can repeatedly clamber it, and it's a great way to get the drop on somebody. Or if they pop a nade at your feet here, it's a way to try to avoid the damage. So that one's super, super useful. And then there's also, on both sides, a little invisible area you can stand out on, and you can stay here. And then you can easily get back. So, kind of useful. All right, we'll go to another map. So please remember, guys, as I'm going through this, I'm not trying to cover everything. There are plenty of videos that'll tell you every nook and cranny of every map. I'm just telling you guys some of my favorites. So, you know, just keep that in mind. Anyways, we're on Eden, and this map has a lot of some of my favorites. I really like this map for movement. There are a lot of options, and it's pretty cool. So first and foremost, a lot of you guys probably seen me do this before if you guys watch my channel regularly, but you can thrust slide off this window and get up to the top catwalk, which is pretty darn cool. It requires a lot of precise timing. I have just practiced it a lot, and I really like it. So that's a super, super cool one. It's just a thrust slide, and then you're gonna stabilize, but you have to be careful not to hit your head on that. You'll see what I mean if you start practicing it. Off the start, I really like to just thrust slide and quick stabilize just to get into the window. That's, you know, the fastest way to get into the tower. So if you're trying to contest camo, you can then quickly thrust slide and then get right into the tower. And I try to hug this close wall because they usually nade like towards here. And then I'll just try to sprint right in and like get a melee or just see if I can get timing on it. That's just a really great breakout if you can do that. Highly recommend it. Okay, this next one is easily one of the hardest. I am not good at it. It is so hard, but you can spring jump off this little thing to get up to the top catwalk, and you have to first crouch jump into it. If you do that properly, you can get your feet to bounce, just like that, and then you have to time your spring jump properly to get back out. I've only ever been able to pull this off with the scoreboard, so this one's super tough. But it's a pretty amazing way to get up to top mid super fast if you can get consistent with it. So there it is. I'm not gonna sit here and re-record that until I do it smooth because that is just too difficult. But that one's pretty great. Most of you guys have probably seen this too, but there's an amazing kneecap launch off of these batteries. So you can use it to fly into blue, or you can also use it to fly up to the top catwalk, which is pretty great. This just requires a little bit of timing practice, and then you can just fly up on these. On the red side, not the same usefulness, but you can fly up and get a really cool angle at top cat. I've always wanted to like chain a big multi-kill, like shoot somebody for the overkill with a snipe or something. By doing that, I would think that'd be amazing. You can also use this to fly and try to get to the catwalk. So that's, you know, one use for the red side. It's not completely useless. Over here at the red outside area, if you find yourself having to juggle this area, or if you're just working red outside and then you hear a call out that might require you to get an angle at the top catwalk, you can drop down and thrust slide here and stabilize on up. So that's a pretty amazing way to move. And if you want to go back, you can thrust slide, stabilize back out to the window, and just maximize your efficiency. You can also, hopefully I don't fuck this up. Oh, I ran into the wall. You can spring thrust stabilize on up here as well. And that's pretty cool. You can quickly spring jump up to this wall here, and kind of get a little sneak around towards turbine. Somewhat useful. Not really useful, but fun. You can spring jump thrust up to the top of this tarp, and you can just chill on here. Kind of cool. Kind of useful, I guess. And then one of my favorites, a great way to get up to top cat, you can spring jump thrust from here and stabilize and grab that, which, I mean, I messed it up, but that's, you know, some pretty precise timing. Give me a sec, give me a second. There it is. See? Pretty cool. Pretty cool way to get around. And then I guess in blue here, this one's okay. I mean, you can use it for some things. Well, I was going too fast. Hang on. So you fly in here, grab this ledge, and then you just jump out and thrust in, and then you're up here on the top. It's pretty easy, pretty easy. So Fathom has been added and removed from the HCS playlist multiple times, but it has some of the absolute coolest skill jumps on it. So first one, pretty common, a lot of people know about this, but if you kneecap off of this box, you can fly up top mid and get camo right off of the rip. If you guys don't know what I mean by kneecapping, it's basically just a well-timed jump. You're just gonna jump and quickly thrust, and you're literally trying to hit your Spartan's legs on like the edge of something like this, as I was doing on Eden as well. And if you do that right, you get that timing down, you can fly and get up to top parts of the map. It's easier to hit in full stride. I don't really like doing it from the window. You can also do this on this side. If you hit this corner and quickly stabilize, you can get up to top mid, which is pretty sweet. You can do this again from here. Well, there's sometimes, like, if you time it just a little bit off, you'll get that like invisible ceiling effect, and you'll kind of just drop. See, it just happened again. But if you get the timing right, you'll easily launch up to the window, or to the bridge here. So that one's actually a lot easier than say trying to go from there to top mid or from here to top mid. If you quickly step onto this little elevated part of this platform, you can feel your feet go up on it. You can crouch jump into this little thing, and then you can just step back and jump right up. That's a pretty quick way to top mid. I like it. It's more protected than say this jump, so I like it. That's the one I mainly use if I'm gonna go that way to top mid. It's also super common but insanely useful. You can of course jump here onto this little platform and step back jump up onto the bridge. That one requires a little bit of practice to get the timing down, but so useful. You can always spring jump thrust off of these boxes to get up to top cat. Pretty quick way to get up there. That's always really good. If you spawn elbow, you can quickly thrust slide and get up here to this little ledge, and then go ahead and get yourself up into the window. To get out of the window, I usually like to thrust or slide into it, excuse me, which makes it a lot easier. So if you want to quickly bounce, if you find yourself needing to get out of it quick, I try to be just a couple steps down, and then you can just, well, I was too close to the wall there, but then you can just kind of crouch jump your way out, and it usually gets you through it. Not a whole lot to say on Refuge, just a couple useful things you should know. You can, of course, thrust slide, stabilize up onto the street, which means you can spring jump stabilize up to the street as well, so that's nice. A great way to get up to ring 3 is to spring jump stabilize as well. You don't have to necessarily go for this every time, but of course this is a more protected angle to get up to ring 3. So you can actually thrust slide, stabilize on up to ring 2 here, which means they're also spring jumpable, so that's pretty quick and useful. You can do the same thing over here by the base if you want to quickly get up to the base from the rocks route without being jumped off that little angle, without being seen, and you want to be tricky, you can do that and get up. So that's useful. You can also just, you know, thrust slide up here and then quickly stabilize and get up. It's a really quick way to get up on top of your street at the beginning of the game, or when you spawn in. If you spawn in right under here, of course, not a lot of people do this, but you go ahead and just jump, thrust slide, stabilize, and you're up here, and you're already back in the action. Okay, so regret, there's some pretty cool ones. Off the start, if you don't feel like testing overshield, you want to just go ahead and get the green gun and get ahead of them, or the plasma pistol. You can go ahead and do that. Just thrust slide on up to the bridge, pretty quick. You can, this is not so advanced, but I really like this jump. You can just jump right up on here to the top of a car, so you can get a drop on somebody over here. Super quick way to get to top mid. This is really useful in doubles. Let's say you just got both kills or something. You just got 2 dead. You want to get right back up to top mid. You just go ahead and thrust slide up. Man, I never messed that one up. All right, so all you're going to do is jump, thrust slide, and stabilize, and you'll be back up to ring 3. Pretty simple. A couple well-timed thrusts around car 1 will get you up to top mid. So on the red side, if you just early thrust it, you'll get up there pretty easy. On the blue side, it is much easier. All you do is aim for this little area, and then you just thrust into it. I actually didn't get it that time, but all you gotta do is just make sure you angle yourself right, and you can see you just launch right up to top mid. That one's really simple. On the inside of car, you can actually thrust off of these, and you can thrust yourself onto the car on red or blue side. It works either way. And then if you also spin around while you do it, you can clamber up to car 2 again. So very useful. Over here by P1, you can jump, clamber up onto this, and then you can jump, clamber up to P2. You can just go to this little fin wing thing. It can be kind of tricky because you can kind of slide off of it. A key again, if you get the clamber, just stop moving your left stick, and then you should stick it and have no issues. And you can also thrust off of this area and get up to P2. You can do that on either side. Not so hard, just again, timing your thrust, and then you'll quickly get up to the top of the map. And one more thing, this also applies on truth, but if you're getting chased in the bottom of the base and you need to get out on either side, if you jump, thrust slide, well, I guess you don't need to jump. You could just thrust slide and then clamber up. But I guess I like to jump because part of this floor is uneven, and so you know, you can mess up your thrust slide. So I usually jump just to avoid that, and then I'll thrust slide stabilize, and you get up to the top of the base super quick, and it's a great way to get away. I'm gonna cover truth real quick just because I did regret. There's a couple good ones on this map. So first, of course, you can you guys probably seen this, but you can just do the same thing. I just slid. I slid on the wall. Don't slide. Just thrust on it, and then you'll clamber up here to P2. Pretty simple. That one's a pretty good one, and also not very hard. There's a couple really neat ways to get up to the top of the map. One, you can spring jump off of this and stabilize up, or not, yeah, stabilize up, sorry. You can also spring jump thrust off of this peg to get up to the car attic, which is pretty cool, gotta say. You can get to top mid pretty quickly from the bubble if you actually just sprint, jump. You can thrust slide off these car pegs and get up really quick. You can do that on either side to get the top mid. You can do it from P as well. A bit trickier, but also a bit faster. You can just drop out of the bubble, early thrust slide, and then spring jump up to top mid. So that's even quicker. This is a super great way to the top of your base, but if you mess it up, you're probably dead. Sometimes if you're feeling yourself though, you know, you just go for it. I do it. You can just do that, thrust slide, get at the top of your base. I do that kind of regularly and I don't really mess it up, but I can acknowledge it's probably pretty stupid. You can thrust slide and stabilize, clamber onto the P street a lot higher than a lot of people can expect. So if somebody's P2 and they know you're P1, you can just quickly like thrust slide up and then be in their face. It'll catch a lot of people off guard. It's pretty good. And of course, this one's pretty well known, but you should know it. It's a super quick way to top mid, so you just time your thrust pretty well on the ramp there. You'll just soar right in. All right, we're on the rig, which brings us to our last map. The rig has a ton of super cool ones. Probably my favorite map for movement, and then probably, I don't know which I can say. There's a lot of really cool ones. But on the rig, if you spawn here and you time a thrust slide well, you can quickly fly up to Tower 2, which is super great. You can then challenge, you know, long haul in case people are pushing that way. From the other side, there's a bunch of really great ways to break out. These all require, you know, a little bit of tricky jumps, but if you can do it, you can quickly get to a lot of good places. You can jump, thrust slide on up to white corner, and you'll quickly be there to contest overshield, which is pretty great. You can jump, thrust slide, stabilize here, and then you can get up to camo. Really, that's super quick, obviously, and pretty well protected. You can drop down from here and thrust slide stabilize on up to... That was terrible. I did that way too early. If you let yourself actually fly and you go for it, you can easily thrust slide on up to the top here. Pretty good. A couple good ones you can use here as well by Big Door. This black line is probably what you want to be aiming for, but you can go ahead and thrust slide stabilize on up to white corner. You can also thrust slide stabilize onto this clamber corner, which is super useful. And if you guys know, you can spring jump. You can spring jump up to it as well. Super great way to get out of that area. Pretty quick way to get to E2 if you just jump off this little railway. You can just spring jump thrust and get up there. Pretty nice. You can actually thrust slide off the rail as well. It's technically quicker, but again, a little bit harder if you want to time that because it's a very skinny rail that you are gonna sit there and you know, thrust off of, or slide off of, I should say. You can do the same thing out here. This is a lot easier though, because it's like a straight line, so you can just get yourself up here really quick. If you spawn open field, it's a great way to get out. You can also spring jump off of the rail here and just quickly get up top. Pretty simple. Honestly impractical, but kind of cool anyways, and I like it. If you time your thrust slide at the right time, you can lift yourself. Like if you late jump, you can like pop off this rail and get up to the top cat. It's kind of cool. So there's that. Again, not really practical, but if you want to try it, you know, you can do that. And of course, we all know the spring jumps over the tower, but some that I don't see as often, you can spring jump the front. I don't know, I didn't get my clamber there, but you can actually, you can spring jump the front and go ahead and just clamber up. One I really like, it's fast, waste your thrust, but it just depends on the situation. You can of course jump here and then spring jump thrust and get to the top of the tower. Everybody knows tower 1 to tower 2, which is cool and all, but this one's way cooler in my opinion. You just spring jump thrust off of that and you can get back up to tower 2. So that's pretty sweet. And then I guess I'll show you guys the super dope camo grab just because it's cool. So if you jump, thrust slide to make sure you get a clean thrust slide, shoot out the camo, you can grab it and make it clean across. Pretty sweet. If you do it even better than that, you can actually not have to clamber and be even quicker. So it's a great way to grab camo and just get the hell out of there. Yo, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know if there's some other aspects of Halo 5 I can show you guys that are some cool things that I know about, because we've been playing it for a long time. All right, I'll see you guys later.